The champagne glass felt too cold in Mira's hand. She stood at the edge of the grand ballroom, watching silk and diamonds glide past her like schools of bright fish in dark water. The charity gala hummed with wealth. Chandeliers dripped crystal light across marble floors, and the air tasted of expensive perfume and older money. Everyone here belonged to a world she'd only recently touched, thanks to the non-profit she'd built from nothing, an organisation teaching sign language to underserved communities. That's why they'd invited her. A feel-good story, a token. Mira adjusted the strap of her simple black dress and tried not to feel like an imposter. Absolutely tragic, really. A woman's voice drifted past, pitched low but not low enough. Bringing her to these things, what's the point? The poor girl can't even... The woman's companion shushed her with a sharp look, and they swept away toward the hors d'oeuvres. Mira's fingers tightened on her glass. She followed their gaze across the ballroom to a small figure sitting alone at a table near the windows. A girl, no more than 7 or 8, with dark curls that caught the light like oil on water. She wore a pale blue dress that probably cost more than Mira's rent, and her small hands were folded in her lap with the careful stillness of someone who'd learned not to draw attention. Around her, the gala swirled and laughed and ignored. Mira's heart clenched. She'd seen this before. The isolation that came with being different, the way people's eyes would slide past rather than risk discomfort. She'd watched it happen to her younger brother before he'd found his community, his language, his voice. The girl's eyes lifted, scanning the crowd with something that looked like hope dying in real time. Dark eyes, huge in her small face, ancient eyes somehow in a child. Mira was moving before she decided to. She crossed the ballroom with her champagne abandoned on a passing waiter's tray, weaving through clusters of the city's elite. No one stopped her. No one noticed. The invisible walking toward the invisible. The girl saw her coming. Something flickered across her face. Wariness, then confusion, as Mira pulled out the chair beside her and sat down. Up close, the child was beautiful in an unsettling way, with features too refined, bone structure that promised devastating beauty in another decade. There was something else too, something Mira couldn't name, a presence that made the air feel heavier. Mira smiled gently and lifted her hands. Hello, my name is Mira. What's yours? The girl's eyes went wide. For a moment she simply stared, her small chest rising and falling faster. Then her hands trembled upward, uncertain, as if she'd forgotten they could speak. Luna, she signed back, the movement hesitant. You know sign language? I do. I teach it. Mira kept her expression warm, open. It's nice to meet you, Luna. That's a beautiful name. Luna's hands move faster now, more confident. No one here signs. No one ever does. They just... She stopped, her fingers faltering. Ignore you, Mira supplied gently. Luna nodded, and something cracked in Mira's chest. Well, I'm here now, Mira signed, and I'd love to talk with you, if that's all right. The smile that broke across Luna's face was like sunrise. They fell into conversation easily after that. Luna asked about Mira's work, her eyes bright with hunger for connection. Mira learned that Luna loved books about dragons, hated asparagus, and desperately wanted a dog, but her father said no because of security concerns, whatever that meant. Mira was signing a joke, something silly about a dragon who was afraid of heights, when the temperature in the room seemed to drop. Luna's expression changed. Her hands froze mid-sign, and her gaze fixed on something over Mira's shoulder. The wariness was back, but mixed with something else, something that looked almost like fear and love tangled together. The scent hit Mira first, pine and smoke and something wild, like the woods after rain. It crawled up her spine and made something primitive in her hindbrain sit up and take notice. The hair on her arms rose. Luna. The voice was deep, textured like gravel and silk woven together. It wasn't loud, but it cut through the ballroom's noise as if the man had commanded the room to quiet. And perhaps he had, because conversations faltered. Heads turned. Mira turned too. The man standing behind her chair was tall enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than her car, tailored to shoulders that seemed too broad, too powerful. Dark hair swept back from a face that was all sharp angles and harder edges. High cheekbones, a jaw that could have been carved from stone, a mouth that looked like it had forgotten how to smile years ago. But it was his eyes that stopped her breath, grey, like winter skies before snow, and looking at her with an intensity that felt physical, like being pinned by something large and predatory, something that could tear you apart or protect you unto death, depending on its mood. Recognition jolted through the ballroom's whispers. Dominic Thorne, CEO of Thorne Industries, one of the most powerful men in the city, reclusive, dangerous, some said. There were rumours about his business dealings, about the way his competitors seemed to fall without explanation, about the people who worked for him, and the loyalty that bordered on fanatical, and about the way he seemed to command not just a corporation, but something older, something unspoken. The Alpha King, they called him in certain circles. Mira had thought it was just a nickname for a ruthless businessman. Now, meeting those grey eyes, she wasn't so sure. Mr. Thorne, she managed, her voice steadier than she felt. I hope you don't mind. Luna and I were just talking. Something flickered in his gaze. He looked at his daughter, who was signing rapidly, her small hands moving with desperate speed. Daddy, this is Mira. She signs. She actually talks to me. Please don't be mad at her. Dominic's expression softened, just fractionally, when he looked at Luna. Then his eyes returned to Mira, and that inhuman intensity was back. You know ASL. It wasn't a question, but Mira nodded anyway. You're the founder of the Signbridge non-profit. I am. She was surprised he knew. Luna's wonderful. She was telling me about her love for dragon stories. Most people don't notice her. His voice was flat, stating fact. They find excuses to avoid the table. They smile at her and walk away. The accusation was implicit. And what makes you different? Mira held his gaze, refusing to be intimidated, even as something in her hindbrain screamed that this man was apex. I notice people that others ignore. It's what I do. Dominic's head tilted slightly, studying her. The gesture was oddly animal. Why? Because everyone deserves to be seen, Mira said simply, especially children. Luna tugged on her father's sleeve, signing urgently. Can she stay, please? Can she visit sometime? I like her. For a moment, Dominic's carefully controlled expression cracked. Mira saw exhaustion there, and grief, and a fierce protectiveness that made her think of wolves guarding their young. Then the mask slid back into place. Perhaps, he said, his eyes never leaving Mira's face. If Miss Ashford, Mira Ashford, if Miss Ashford would be willing. He pulled a card from his inner pocket, with movements that were too fluid, too controlled, predatory grace. My private number. Luna doesn't connect with many people. If you're amenable, I'd like to arrange for you to visit. Mira took the card. Their fingers didn't touch, but she felt the heat of him anyway, radiating like a furnace. The card was heavy stock, embossed. Simple. Just a phone number. No name. I'd like that, she said, and meant it. Luna's face lit up like Christmas morning. Dominic's eyes narrowed slightly, studying Mira, as if trying to decode a mystery. You're not afraid. Should I be? Most people are. He said it matter-of-factly, without ego. Truth. I don't scare easily, Mr. Thorne. Something that might have been amusement touched his mouth, there and gone. Call me Dominic. I think you'll be around enough that formality would be tedious. It sounded like a promise, or a warning. He nodded once, placed a hand on Luna's shoulder with a gentleness that contradicted every hard line of him, and turned to leave. Luna waved frantically at Mira, signing, See you soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you, before following her father into the crowd, which parted for them, automatically, as if recognizing something in Dominic that demanded deference. Mira stood there, holding the card, her heart hammering for reasons she couldn't quite name. She had the strange, certain feeling that she'd just stepped onto a path she couldn't see the end of, that by speaking to one lonely little girl, she'd walked into something far larger and more dangerous than a charity gala in a city ballroom. Outside the windows, the moon rose full and heavy over the city skyline, and Mira could have sworn she heard something howl. Mira didn't call the next day. She told herself it was because she wanted to give them space, let Dominic and Luna discuss it first. Not because her hands had trembled every time she'd picked up the card with that single phone number embossed in black ink. Not because she'd dreamed of grey eyes and the scent of pine smoke, waking at 3 a.m. with her heart racing and the inexplicable feeling that something was watching her window. By the third day, her resolve cracked. She sat in her small apartment office, surrounded by grant applications and lesson plans for her non-profit's after-school programs, and pulled out the card. The heavy stock felt warm between her fingers, as if it had been resting against skin instead of sitting on her desk. Stop being ridiculous, she told herself. It's just a phone number. Except it wasn't. It was a door to something she couldn't quite name, something that had made every instinct in her body stand at attention when Dominic Thorne had looked at her with those winter sky eyes. She dialed before she could overthink it further. He answered on the second ring. Mira. Not a question. As if he'd been expecting her call, had perhaps been waiting for it. His voice was even deeper over the phone, resonating in her chest like a bass note. How did you... She stopped. Caller ID. Obviously. Hello, Dominic. You waited 3 days. Was that amusement in his voice? I thought perhaps you'd reconsidered. I wanted to give you and Luna time to discuss it. Thoughtful. A pause, and she heard something in the background. Traffic, maybe, or wind. Luna has asked about you 47 times. She's decided you're her new favourite person. Congratulations, you've displaced the dragon from her latest book. Mira found herself smiling. That's quite an honour. It's a complication. The amusement was gone now, replaced by something harder. My daughter doesn't attach easily. When she does, she holds on with everything she has. You should know that before you accept. Is this the part where you warn me away? Mira kept her voice light, but her fingers tightened on the phone. This is the part where I'm honest with you. Dominic's voice dropped lower. Luna has been hurt by people who promised to care and then disappeared. If you're going to do this, if you're going to become part of her life, I need to know you'll stay, even when things get difficult. Difficult how? Silence stretched between them. Mira could hear him breathing, measured and controlled. When he spoke again, his words were carefully chosen. My world is not simple, Mira. There are aspects of my life, my family, that are unconventional. If you spend time with Luna, you'll eventually see things that might frighten you. I need to know you won't run. The reasonable part of Mira's brain suggested she ask for clarification, demand to know what he meant. The rest of her, the part that had felt something wild and electric when their eyes met, understood that he was offering what he could, that there were truths he couldn't speak yet. I don't run, she said quietly. Not from children who need me, not from people I care about. You barely know her. I know enough. Mira surprised herself with the certainty in her voice. I know she's lonely. I know she's brilliant and funny and deserves to have more than one person in her world who will actually communicate with her. I know I want to help, if you'll let me. Another pause. Then, tomorrow, 6 p.m, I'll send a car to pick you up from your office. I can drive myself. Humour me. It wasn't quite a command, but close. Security precautions. I'll explain when you arrive. Where am I arriving? My home. Luna would be more comfortable there. He hesitated, and Mira heard something shift in his tone. Vulnerability, perhaps. So would I. I don't often invite outsiders into my private space. You should feel honoured. Should I? Yes. Simple, direct, true. Mira felt heat crawl up her neck. All right, tomorrow at 6. Mira. He stopped her before she could hang up. Thank you for seeing her. Most people look right through her, or worse, they pity her. You just saw her. She's not hard to see, Dominic. She's remarkable. Yes. His voice was rough now, raw with something Mira couldn't identify. She is. The line went dead. Mira sat in the silence of her office, the phone still pressed to her ear, and wondered what exactly she'd just agreed to. The car that arrived the next evening wasn't what she'd expected. Mira had imagined a town car, maybe a luxury sedan. Instead, a sleek black SUV with tinted windows pulled up to the curb outside her non-profit's small building. The driver who emerged was tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of alert posture that spoke of military training, or something else, something that tracked movement with predatory precision. "Miss Ashford." He opened the rear door. "I'm Marcus. Mr. Thorne sent me." "Nice to meet you." Mira climbed in, trying not to feel intimidated by the vehicle's leather interior and the subtle scent of expensive cologne mixed with something earthier. Pine, maybe. Wild sage. The same scent that had clung to Dominic. Marcus said nothing as he drove, navigating through the city's evening traffic with smooth efficiency. They headed north, toward the hills where the city's wealthiest kept their estates behind gates and walls. Mira watched the buildings change from commercial to residential, from residential to sprawling properties with iron fences and security cameras. After 30 minutes, they turned down a private road. Trees crowded close on either side, old growth, thick-trunked, their branches forming a canopy overhead. It felt like driving into another world, leaving the city behind for something older, more primal. The road curved and climbed, and then the trees opened up. Mira's breath caught. The house, no, the estate, spread across the hilltop like something from a Gothic novel. Stone and glass and dark wood, it managed to be both modern and timeless, with sharp architectural lines, softened by climbing ivy, and surrounded by gardens that looked wild despite clearly being carefully maintained. Lights glowed warm in the windows against the deepening twilight. But it was the moon rising behind the house that made Mira's pulse quicken, full and heavy and impossibly large, turning the sky purple and the estate into something from a dream. Or a fairy tale, the dangerous kind. "We're here," Marcus said unnecessarily. The front doors opened before they reached them. Luna burst out, moving faster than Mira had seen at the gala, her small feet flying over the stone steps. She wore jeans and a sweater now, her dark curls loose around her shoulders, and her face was bright with joy. "Mira." "You came. I wasn't sure you would really come, but Daddy said you would and you did." Mira laughed, catching Luna's hands as the girl signed frantically. "Of course I came. I promised, didn't I?" People break promises. The matter-of-fact way Luna signed it broke Mira's heart a little. "I don't," she signed back firmly. "When I promise something to someone I care about, I keep it." "You care about me?" Luna's eyes were huge, hopeful. "Very much." Luna threw her arms around Mira's waist, hugging tight. Over her head, Mira saw Dominic emerge from the doorway. He wore jeans and a dark Henley tonight, the casual clothes somehow making him more intimidating rather than less. Without the armor of a suit, she could see the muscle, the raw power in his frame. He moved down the steps with that same fluid grace, and up close, Mira realized his eyes had flecks of amber in the grey, like embers in ash. "She's been watching the drive for an hour," he said, his voice carrying dry amusement. "I thought she might combust from anticipation." Luna pulled back, signing rapidly at her father. "Can we show her? Can we show her the library? And my room? And can she stay for dinner? Please?" "We discussed this," Dominic signed back, and Mira felt surprise jolt through her. His hands moved with clear fluency, the signs crisp and sure. "Mira might have other plans." "I don't," Mira said quickly. "I'd love to stay for dinner if that's all right." Luna beamed. Dominic's eyes met Mira's, and something passed between them. Acknowledgement, perhaps, or warning. "Then come inside," he said. "Welcome to my home, Mira Ashford. Fair warning, once you cross this threshold, leaving might be harder than you think." He said it lightly, but Mira heard the truth underneath. She crossed the threshold anyway. Inside was warmer than she'd expected, the stone and wood creating spaces that felt both grand and intimate. A massive fireplace dominated the main room, flames crackling behind an iron screen. The furniture was leather and dark wood, comfortable rather than showy. Books lined the walls, and through an archway she glimpsed a dining room with a table that could seat 20, but it was the photographs that caught her attention, dozens of them covering one entire wall. Luna at different ages, as a baby, a toddler, a child, and in every single one, Dominic was there, holding her, playing with her, reading to her, the chronology of a father's fierce devotion rendered in silver frames. "My Pat gives me grief about it," Dominic said quietly, coming to stand beside her. "They say I'm too sentimental, but I want her to know she's loved, that she's always been loved." Pack. The word hung in the air between them. Before Mira could respond, Luna tugged her hand, pulling her toward a staircase. "Come see my room. I have so many books to show you." The next 2 hours passed in a blur of Luna's enthusiastic tour. Her room was perfect for her, walls painted deep blue with glow in the dark stars on the ceiling, shelves overflowing with books, a window seat overlooking the gardens. She showed Mira her favourite novels, her collection of dragon figurines, her art supplies. They sat cross-legged on the floor and talked about everything and nothing, Luna's hands flying as she shared stories about her tutors, her frustrations, her dreams. Dominic appeared in the doorway eventually, knocking on the frame to get their attention. "Dinner's ready," he signed. "If you two can tear yourselves away from the dragon discourse." They ate in a smaller dining room off the kitchen, just the three of them at one end of a table clearly meant for more. The food was simple but perfect. Roasted chicken, vegetables that tasted like they'd been picked that morning, bread that was still warm. Luna chatted throughout the meal, and Mira found herself relaxing into the rhythm of it. She also found herself watching Dominic. The way he listened to Luna, with complete attention, his eyes soft in a way they hadn't been at the gala. The way his hand occasionally brushed his daughter's shoulder or hair, small touches that anchored. The way he looked at Mira sometimes, studying, assessing, but with something else underneath, something that made her skin feel too warm. After dinner, Luna grew sleepy, fighting it with the determination of a child who doesn't want the fun to end. Dominic finally scooped her up, carrying her toward the stairs despite her protests. "Will you come back?" Luna signed drowsily at Mira. "If your father will let me." "He will," Luna signed with absolute certainty. "He likes you. I can tell." Then she was asleep, her head on Dominic's shoulder, and he carried her up the stairs with a tenderness that made Mira's throat tight. She waited in the main room, watching the fire, feeling the weight of the evening settle over her. This house, this man, this child, they'd gotten under her skin in the space of a few hours. "She'll sleep until morning now," Dominic said from behind her. Mira turned to find him leaning against the archway, hands in his pockets, watching her with those ember-flecked eyes. "Thank you for giving her this." "I think she gave me something too," Mira said, honestly. "She's special, Dominic." "Yes." He moved closer, and Mira was suddenly aware of how large he was, how the space seemed to shrink around him. "So are you." Luna's instincts about people are rarely wrong. "What do your instincts tell you?" The question escaped before Mira could stop it. Dominic's smile was slow, dangerous. "That you're going to change everything." Before Mira could respond, a howl split the night. Close, too close, somewhere in the gardens. The sound raised every hair on her body. Dominic's entire posture changed. He was at the window in 3 strides, his body coiled tight, and Mira could have sworn she saw his eyes flash amber. "Marcus will take you home," he said, his voice clipped. "Now." "What's wrong?" "Nothing you need to worry about." He turned to her, and his expression was pure command. "Go, Mira, please." Another howl answered the first, and this time Mira heard it clearly. Not a coyote, not a dog. Something larger, something that made her hindbrain scream predator. Marcus appeared in the doorway. "Boss, the perimeter." "I know." Dominic's jaw was tight. "Get her home safely. Don't stop for anything." Mira wanted to argue, to demand answers, but something in Dominic's eyes stopped her. Fear, not for himself, but for her. "All right," she said quietly. "But you'll explain. Eventually." "Eventually," he agreed. As Marcus hurried her to the SUV, Mira looked back once. Dominic stood in the doorway, backlit by the warm light of his home, and as she watched, 3 massive shapes melted out of the shadows to flank him. Not dogs, not wolves, something in between. The SUV pulled away, and Mira's last glimpse was of Dominic striding into the darkness, the moonlight turning his hair silver, those shapes moving with him like extensions of his will. In her pocket, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You're safe. That's all that matters. Come back Saturday. Please." Mira stared at the message as the city lights swallowed the darkness behind them. She had just seen something impossible, and instead of being afraid, all she felt was a bone-deep certainty that she was exactly where she was supposed to be, even if she didn't understand why. Yet, Mira didn't sleep that night. She lay in her bed, staring at her ceiling, listening to the city sounds outside her window, traffic, sirens, the occasional shout from the street below. Normal sounds, human sounds, nothing like those howls that had split the night at Dominic's estate. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw them, those shapes moving through the darkness, too large to be wolves, too fluid to be anything natural. And Dominic, walking into the night without hesitation, as if he commanded those creatures, as if they were his. Her phone sat on her nightstand, Dominic's text, still glowing on the screen. She'd read it 24 times, passing each word for meaning. "You're safe. That's all that matters. Not we're safe. Not everything's fine. Just her." As if her safety was the only variable that mattered to him. The thought made something warm unfurl in her chest, even as questions circled like sharks in her mind. At 3 a.m, she gave up on sleep and made tea. Her laptop sat open on the kitchen counter, and before she could second-guess herself, she typed Dominic Thorne into the search bar. The results were extensive, but strangely uniform. Articles about Thorne Industries and its various acquisitions, charity work, a few society page photos from events, always with Dominic in the background, his face carefully neutral. One interview from 5 years ago where he'd discussed his business philosophy in terms so vague they said nothing at all. No mention of Luna, no mention of a wife or partner, living or dead. And underneath the legitimate results, in the forums and gossip sites that Mira almost didn't click, whispers, rumours, the kind of talk that happened in comment sections and disappeared quickly. They say the people who work for him would die for him. My cousin tried to compete with Thorne Industries, said he felt like he was being hunted. There are old families in this city, and then there are the real old families. Thorne is one of them. Alpha King isn't just a nickname. Mira closed the laptop with shaking hands. She told herself she was being ridiculous. Dominic was a powerful CEO with a deaf daughter and some very good security. The shapes she'd seen were probably just guard dogs, large guard dogs. The howling was probably coyotes or... Her phone buzzed. A new text, this one with an attachment. "Luna wanted you to have this. She drew it this morning." Dees, the image loaded, a crayon drawing of 3 figures, a small girl with dark curls, a tall man with broad shoulders, and a woman with long hair holding the girl's hand. All 3 were smiling. At the top, in careful child's handwriting, "My family." Mira's eyes burned. She typed back, "Tell her I love it. Tell her I'll be there Saturday." The response was immediate. "She'll be counting the hours. So will I." Mira stared at those last 3 words until her vision blurred. The week crawled by with agonizing slowness. Mira threw herself into work, teaching ASL classes to families, meeting with donors, preparing curriculum for the new semester. But her mind kept drifting to Luna's bright smile, to Dominic's careful touches, to the way the house had felt like home despite being larger than any place she'd ever lived, and to those howls in the darkness. Her assistant, Jenna, noticed. "Okay, spill," she said on Thursday, cornering Mira in the break room. "You've been weird all week, distracted. You smiled at Mr. Henderson's terrible dad jokes yesterday, without even cringing. I've just had a lot on my mind. Does this lot involve the mysterious gala you went to last weekend?" The one you've been remarkably quiet about? Mira tried for casual and failed. I met someone, a little girl who needs sign language support. I'm going to start visiting her. Just her? Jenna's eyebrows climbed. Not, say, her ridiculously wealthy single father? How did you... You forget I'm a professional internet stalker, Jenna grinned. I saw the guest list from that gala. Dominic Thorne was there. The Dominic Thorne. Please tell me you talked to him. I did. Mira busied herself with her coffee. He was... intense. Intense hot or intense scary? Both. Jenna whistled. Girl, be careful. Men like that, they're not normal. They play by different rules. You have no idea, Mira thought but didn't say. Saturday arrived, wrapped in grey clouds and the threat of rain. Mira changed outfits 3 times before settling on jeans and a soft green sweater that Jenna had once said made her eyes look like sea glass. She told herself she wasn't dressing for Dominic. This was about Luna. The lie sat uncomfortably in her chest. Marcus arrived at 5:30, early, and said nothing about her obvious nerves during the drive. The trees seemed darker today, the estate more imposing as it emerged from the gloom, but the lights in the windows were warm, welcoming, and as they pulled up, the front door burst open. Luna flew down the steps, her joy so bright it seemed to push back the grey afternoon. She wore a purple dress with leggings and boots, her curls held back with clips shaped like stars. You came early, she signed as Mira climbed out of the SUV. Marcus drove fast. Mira signed back, smiling. I couldn't wait to see you either. Luna grabbed her hand and tugged her toward the house. Dominic stood in the doorway, and Mira's breath caught. He wore dark jeans and a grey sweater that matched his eyes, his hair slightly damp as if he'd just showered. He looked more rested than he had on Tuesday. But there was something new in his expression when he watched her approach, something hungry. Welcome back, he said, his voice carrying warmth that hadn't been there before. Luna's been planning your visit since you left. I hope you're prepared for an extremely detailed itinerary. I'm intrigued. You should be terrified. But he smiled, and the expression transformed his face from harsh to devastating. Inside, the house felt different, more alive somehow. Music played softly from hidden speakers, something classical with violins that made Mira think of moonlight and dancing. The fire crackled, and the scent of something baking drifted from the kitchen. Luna pulled Mira toward the library, a room they'd missed on the first tour. It was 2 stories tall, with a spiral staircase leading to a balcony lined with more books. Leather chairs sat near the fireplace, and a window seat overlooked the gardens. This is my favourite room, Luna signed. Daddy says I can read anything I want, even the grown-up books, as long as I ask him questions if I don't. Understand something? They settled into the window seat with a stack of novels, and Mira found herself pulled into Luna's world of dragon lore and magical kingdoms. The girl's imagination was vivid, her questions sharp. She wanted to know about heroism and sacrifice, about whether monsters could be good and heroes could be bad. Complex questions for someone so young, Dominic said from the doorway. He carried a tray with hot chocolate and cookies, setting it on the small table near them. She's a complex person, Mira replied. Luna had gotten distracted by the rain that had started pattering against the windows, her attention caught by the drops racing down the glass. Dominic gestured for Mira to follow him, moving a few feet away to give them the illusion of privacy while keeping Luna in sight. She's been happier this week than I've seen her in months, he said quietly. Lighter. She's asked me to learn new signs so she can tell you about things. She's reading more, drawing more. You've given her something I couldn't. You've given her everything, Mira protested. Your love, your time, your protection. Protection, yes. Connection to the outside world? Dominic shook his head. That I've failed at. My world is insular. The people around us are loyal, but wary. They don't know how to approach her, or they're too frightened of disappointing me to try. Frightened of you? His smile was sharp. People tend to be. I don't encourage familiarity. But you're encouraging it with me. Yes. He held her gaze, and the intensity there made her stomach flip. You're different. How? You saw her first. Not my power, not my money, not my reputation. Just a lonely child who needed someone to notice her. He moved closer, and Mira's pulse kicked up. Do you know how rare that is? How precious? I just did what anyone should do. But they don't. His voice dropped lower. They don't, Mira. They see my daughter, and they see a complication, a weakness, something to exploit or avoid. You saw her and decided to care, without agenda, without fear. I'm not completely without fear, Mira admitted. Those howls the other night. Dominic's expression shuttered. I was hoping you'd forgotten about that. Would you believe me if I said I had? No. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration. You're too intelligent for that, and I've never been good at lying. Then don't. Mira surprised herself with her boldness. Tell me the truth. What were those things in your garden? Why did Marcus drive like we were being chased? Why do people call you the Alpha King? Dominic stared at her for a long moment. Then he glanced at Luna, who was still absorbed in the rain, and back to Mira. Come with me, he said. There's something I need to show you. He led her down a hallway she hadn't explored before, past more photographs and paintings of landscapes that looked wild and ancient. At the end was a heavy wooden door. Dominic placed his palms against a reader beside it, and something clicked. Inside was an office, but not like any office Mira had seen. One wall was covered in maps of the city, marked with symbols she didn't recognise. Another held weapons, blades that looked ceremonial, bows that seemed too large for human use, and on the desk, leather-bound journals that smelled of age and secrets. This is the heart of my territory, Dominic said, closing the door behind them. From here, I manage everything. Territory, Mira tested the word. Not company, territory. Yes. He moved to the map, his finger tracing invisible lines. There are 4 packs in this city. Mine is the largest, the oldest. We control the north and east, the hills and forests that predate the urban sprawl. The others respect our boundaries, most of the time. Mira's mouth was dry. Packs? You mean werewolves? He said it simply, turning to face her. I am the alpha of the Thorn Pack. Luna is my heir, and those shapes you saw the other night were my enforcers, responding to intruders on our land. The room tilted. Mira gripped the edge of the desk, her mind reeling. Werewolves. He was saying werewolves were real, that he was one, that those howls, those shapes. Breathe, Dominic said, and suddenly he was there, his hands on her shoulders, steady and warm. Breathe, Mira, I've got you. She dragged in air, her lungs burning. This is insane. Yes, werewolves aren't real. They're mythology. Stories. Stories based on truth. His hand squeezed gently. The old families in this city. We've been here longer than the buildings, longer than the roads. We were here when this was just forest and river, and we've adapted as humans built over our territory. But we're still here, still protecting our own. Mira looked up at him, searching his face for signs of madness or deception. She found only grim honesty. Prove it. Dominic's eyes flashed amber, actually flashed, the grey turning to molten gold for a heartbeat before fading back. I could shift for you, show you my other form, but I don't think you're ready for that. Not yet. What makes you think I'll ever be ready? Her voice shook. What makes you think I won't run screaming? Because you're still standing here. His thumb brushed her collarbone, and Mira realised she was leaning into his touch. Because part of you already knew something was different about me, about this place. Your instincts recognised what your mind couldn't accept. He was right. God help her, he was right. She'd felt it from the first moment. The wrongness that was actually rightness. The sense that Dominic was more than human, more than normal. Luna, she whispered. Is she? She'll manifest when she reaches puberty. 12 or 13, most likely. Pain crossed his face. She doesn't know yet. Doesn't understand why she's different from the pack children, why they're wary around her. Being deaf makes it harder. She can't hear the wolves when they run at night, can't participate in that part of pack life. I don't know how to help her feel less alone. Understanding crashed through Mira. That's why you let me stay. Why you're telling me this. You think I can bridge that gap. I know you can. Dominic's hands slid to cup her face, his touch reverent. She trusts you. She'll listen to you when the time comes to tell her the truth, and maybe, his voice roughened, maybe you'll stay. Help her navigate what she is, what she'll become. You're asking me to be part of your world, a world with werewolves and pack politics and danger I can't even imagine. Yes, that's insane. Yes, he smiled, sad and hopeful at once. But you're considering it anyway. I can see it in your eyes. Mira wanted to deny it, wanted to laugh at the absurdity. But she thought of Luna's bright smile, of the way this house felt like home, of the strange certainty that had settled in her bones the moment she'd crossed the threshold. She thought of Dominic's hands on her shoulders, his scent wrapping around her like safety and danger combined. I need time, she said finally, to process this, to think. Take all the time you need. But his hands didn't move from her face. Just promise me you'll come back. That you won't disappear on Luna. On us. I promise. The relief in his eyes was staggering. He leaned down, and for a moment Mira thought he might kiss her. Her lips parted, her breath caught. A knock at the door made them both jump. Boss! Marcus's voice was tight. We have a situation. Dominic's entire demeanour changed. The vulnerable man disappeared, replaced by the alpha. He dropped his hands from Mira's face and strode to the door, opening it just enough to speak with Marcus in low, urgent tones. Mira caught fragments. Border. Challenge. Westbrook Pack. Dominic turned back to her, his jaw tight. I have to go. Pack business. Marcus will take you home. What about Luna? She'll be safe here. I have guards. He stopped himself. I have people who will protect her with their lives. Will you be safe? Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe. Are you worried about me, Mira Ashford? Apparently I am. His smile was fierce. Don't be. I'm very hard to kill. He moved to her, cupped her face once more, and pressed a kiss to her forehead. His lips were warm, and the touch sent electricity down her spine. Come back, please. Then he was gone, striding down the hallway with Marcus at his heels, and Mira was left standing in the office surrounded by maps of territory and weapons that weren't ceremonial at all. She heard Luna calling for her and pushed away from the desk, on shaking legs. She'd promised to stay, to come back, even though Dominic Thorne was a werewolf, even though she'd just walked into a world that shouldn't exist, even though every rational part of her brain was screaming that this was dangerous, impossible, insane. She thought of Luna's smile, of Dominic's careful tenderness, of the way belonging felt warm and real in that strange house on the hill, and she knew, with bone-deep certainty, that she was already too far gone to walk away, even if she wanted to, which she didn't. God help her. Mira spent Sunday in a daze. She went through the motions of her normal routine, coffee, laundry, responding to work emails, but her mind was elsewhere, in a house on a hill, in an office lined with maps of territories that didn't exist on any official document, in the moment when grey eyes had flashed amber and the world had tilted off its axis. Werewolves. She'd Googled it, felt ridiculous, done it anyway. The results were what she'd expected. Folklore, fiction, Halloween costumes, nothing that prepared her for the reality of Dominic's confession, for the absolute certainty in his voice when he'd said, I am the alpha of the Thorn Pack. Her phone buzzed constantly throughout the day. Updates from Dominic, each one brief, but revealing a concern that made her chest tight. Luna keeps asking when you'll visit again. Border situation resolved. No one was hurt. She drew another picture. You're in this one too. You're holding a sword and fighting a dragon. She says you're very brave. Are you all right? You've been quiet. Mira stared at that last message for a long time before typing. I'm processing. Still coming to terms with everything. His response was immediate. Take your time. I know it's a lot. But know that you're safe. I would never let anything harm you. She believed him. That was the terrifying part. She absolutely believed him. Monday morning brought a distraction in the form of crisis at work. One of their major donors had pulled funding, leaving a gap in the budget that threatened their after-school programs. Mira spent the day in emergency meetings, crunching numbers, making phone calls to other potential donors. By evening, she was exhausted and frustrated, sitting in her office with a spreadsheet that refused to balance no matter how she manipulated the numbers. Her phone rang. Dominic. She answered without thinking. This is a bad time. What's wrong? His voice sharpened immediately, going from casual to alert in a heartbeat. Are you hurt? What? No, just work problems, funding issues. A pause. Tell me. It's not your concern. Mira. He said her name like a command and a plea at once. Tell me. So she did. The words spilled out, the lost donor, the programs at risk, the families who depended on their services. She hadn't meant to say so much, but something about his presence on the other end of the line, the way he listened with complete attention, loosened her tongue. When she finished, silence stretched for a moment. Then, how much do you need? I'm not asking you for money. I know. I'm offering. His tone brooked no argument. How much, Mira? She told him, feeling her face heat with embarrassment. Consider it done. You'll have a wire transfer in the morning, and I'll have my lawyers draft up a donor agreement if you need it for your records. No strings, no expectations. This is for the work you do, not for... He trailed off. Not for Luna. Not for Luna, he agreed quietly. Though I won't pretend her happiness isn't tied to yours. She's been talking about you non-stop, asking when you'll teach her new signs, when you'll come read with her again. You've become essential to her in a remarkably short time. Just her? The question escaped before Mira could stop it. Dominic's laugh was low, rough. You know the answer to that. Mira's pulse kicked up. Do I? You've been in my thoughts constantly since the moment you sat down next to my daughter and treated her like she mattered. Do you know what that did to me? Watching someone see her, really see her, for the first time in so long. His voice dropped lower, intimate. And then you came to my home, walked into my world, and didn't flinch, didn't run, even when you saw things that should have terrified you. I'm still not sure I'm not terrified. Good. Fear means you're smart. But you're here anyway, talking to me, which means you're also brave. A pause. Come to dinner tomorrow, please. Luna's been practicing new signs to show you, and He hesitated, and Mira heard vulnerability creep into his voice. I'd like to see you, talk to you, help you understand what you've stepped into. More revelations about the werewolf underworld? If you want them, or we could just eat and talk, and pretend we're normal people for a few hours. His tone turned wry, though I'm not sure I remember how to be normal. I'll come, Mira said, before she could overthink it. But Dominic, thank you, for the funding. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. You matter, Mira. What you do matters. Let me help. After they hung up, Mira sat in the silence of her office and tried to understand what was happening to her. This man, this werewolf, this alpha, had gotten under her skin with terrifying speed. Every conversation left her wanting more. Every text made her smile. Every memory of his hands on her face made her skin warm. This was dangerous. She knew it was dangerous. She was falling anyway. Tuesday evening arrived cold and clear, the sky that deep blue that comes just before full dark. Mira dressed with more care than she wanted to admit, a deep burgundy sweater that brought out the warmth in her skin, dark jeans, boots. She left her hair down, curling past her shoulders. When she caught herself checking her reflection for the third time, she forced herself to stop. This is about Luna, she told herself firmly. Not about Dominic's grey eyes, or the way his voice gets rough when he says your name, or... She was so screwed. Marcus picked her up with his usual professional silence, but Mira thought she caught a hint of approval in his expression when he opened the door for her. The drive felt different tonight. The trees seemed less ominous, more like guardians. And when the estate appeared, lights, glowing against the darkness, something in Mira's chest unclenched, like coming home. Luna was waiting inside this time, practically vibrating with excitement. She wore a blue dress with stars, embroidered on the hem, and her eyes were bright with secrets. "I learned new signs," she announced immediately. "Want to see?" "Always." Luna launched into an enthusiastic demonstration, her hands flying through signs Mira recognized as more advanced concepts, emotions, abstract ideas, descriptions that went beyond the basics. Someone had been working with her intensively. "Daddy's been practicing with me every night," Luna signed when Mira commented on her progress. "He says communication is important, that understanding each other matters more than anything." Mira looked up to find Dominic watching them from across the room. He wore dark jeans and a charcoal sweater that made his eyes look like storm clouds. The expression on his face as he watched his daughter was so full of love, it made Mira's throat tight. Then his gaze shifted to her, and the love transformed into something else, something heated and intense and entirely focused on her. "Show Mira your new drawings," he signed to Luna. "I need to talk to her for a minute." Luna nodded enthusiastically and bounded off toward the stairs. Dominic moved closer, and Mira was suddenly aware of how warm the room was, how the firelight cast shadows across his features. "You look beautiful," he said quietly. "I wanted to say that before Luna monopolizes you for the evening." "Thank you." Mira's voice came out breathier than she'd intended. "She seems excited. She's been bouncing off walls since yesterday. I had to bribe her with extra reading time to get her to focus on her studies." His smile was soft. "Thank you for coming back. I wasn't sure you would, after what I told you. I promised Luna I wouldn't disappear. And me? Did you promise me anything?" He was close now, close enough that she could smell pine and smoke and something uniquely him. "I'm figuring out what I can promise," Mira said honestly. "This is all so new, so impossible. Some part of my brain still thinks I'm going to wake up and find out this was all a very vivid dream." Dominic reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, his fingers traced her jaw with devastating gentleness. "If this is a dream, I don't want to wake up." "Dominic." "I know. Too fast. Too much." But he didn't move away. "I'm not good at this. The slow dance, the careful words. My instincts are direct. When I know what I want, I pursue it. And I want—" He stopped himself, jaw tight. "I want things I have no right to ask for yet." "What things?" His eyes flashed amber for just a moment. "You. Here. In my home. In my life. In my—" He cut himself off again. "Ask me something else. Anything else." Mira's heart was racing. "Tell me about Luna's mother." Pain flickered across his face. "She died when Luna was 2. Car accident. At least, that's what the Colbys human authorities ruled it. The truth was more complicated." "What truth?" "She wasn't my mate." At Mira's confusion, he clarified. "Werewolves have mates, true mates. A bond that's deeper than marriage, more fundamental than choice. Elena wasn't mine. We were compatible. We cared for each other. When she got pregnant, we tried to make it work. But without the mate bond, the connection was hollow. She wanted more than I could give her, and I—" He ran a hand through his hair. "I threw myself into pack business, neglected her. By the time Luna was born, Eleanor was miserable. She left Packlands one night, drove too fast on mountain roads, and—" His voice roughened. "The car went off a cliff. Whether it was an accident or intentional, I'll never know. God, Dominic, I'm sorry. Luna doesn't remember her. I have photos, videos, but she was too young. Sometimes I'm grateful for that. Other times I feel like I robbed her of something precious." He looked down at Mira, and the vulnerability in his eyes was staggering. "I've tried to be enough for her. Father, mother, pack, everything. But I know I'm failing. She needs more than I can give alone." "You're not failing. She's happy, loved. She's isolated." His hands framed Mira's face again, that gesture becoming familiar. "Until you. You opened a door I didn't know how to find. You gave her connection, friendship, someone who sees her without the weight of pack politics or supernatural complications. You gave her normal. There's nothing normal about this situation," Mira pointed out, but she leaned into his touch. "No," he agreed, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. "But you make it feel like there could be. Like maybe we could have something beyond duty and territory and ancient hierarchies. Something real. Dominic. Mira, come see. Luna's signing was visible from the top of the stairs, her hands moving urgently. Dominic dropped his hands from Mira's face, stepping back with visible effort. We should go see what she's created. But Mira, he caught her hand. After dinner, I want to show you something. Help you understand my world better, if you're willing. I'm willing. His smile was like sunrise. Dinner was chaotic in the best way. Luna had apparently decided that Mira needed to know everything about her life, and she narrated through the meal with enthusiastic signs. Her tutors, her favourite books, the garden she was planning for spring, the astronomy club she wanted to join if Dominic would let her. It meets at night, Dominic signed. There are security concerns. But the moon, Luna argued. I need to see the moon through the telescope. You promised we'd go stargazing. We will. Here, where I can protect you. You can't protect me from everything forever. Luna signed with the infinite wisdom of an 8-year-old. I need to learn to be brave. Like Mira. Both of them turned to look at Mira, who nearly choked on her wine. I'm not that brave, she said, signing simultaneously for all Luna's benefit. You came back even after the scary things, Luna signed. Daddy told me you saw the guards in wolf form, that you didn't run away. Mira's eyes shot to Dominic, who had the grace to look slightly sheepish. She asked why you left so quickly last time, he signed. I told her a version of the truth. That pack business arose, and I needed to ensure everyone's safety. And she knows about... Mira gestured vaguely. She knows her family is special, that we're different. The specifics can wait until she's older. His expression was gentle as he looked at his daughter. But she knows brave when she sees it, and you are brave, Mira, braver than most humans who discover our world. After dinner, Luna was reluctant to go to bed, but Dominic was firm. Mira will come back, he promised, and next time, maybe she can stay longer. But now you need sleep. Will you read to me? Luna asked Mira, hopefully. Mira looked at Dominic, who nodded. They went upstairs together, the three of them, and settled into Luna's room. Mira read from a book about a girl who befriended dragons, her voice soft, while Dominic sat in the chair by the window and watched them with an expression that made Mira's chest ache. Luna fought sleep for 20 minutes, before finally surrendering, curled under her star-covered blankets. Dominic tucked her in with gentle hands, kissed her forehead, and motioned for Mira to follow him out. In the hallway, he turned to her. Thank you. She hasn't fallen asleep that peacefully in weeks. She's easy to care about. So are you. His voice was rough. Come with me. There's something I want to show you. He led her outside, into the gardens behind the house. The night was cold but clear, and overhead the moon hung 3/4 full, bright enough to cast shadows. The garden sprawled wild and beautiful, with stone paths winding through what looked like deliberately untamed growth. This is Packland, Dominic said, gesturing to the expanse of woods beyond the gardens. 500 acres, most of it forest. We run here, hunt here, teach our young what it means to be wolf as well as human. It's beautiful. It's freedom. He moved deeper into the garden, and Mira followed. The city encroaches more every year. Buildings where there used to be trees. Roads where there used to be trails. We adapt, but part of me grieves for what we're losing. They reached a clearing with a stone bench, overlooking the woods. Dominic sat, patted the space beside him. Mira joined him, hyper-aware of the warmth radiating from his body. What did you want to show me? She asked. This. He gestured to the forest, to the sky, to the moonlight. What it feels like to be here, in this space, at night. This is my world, Mira. Wild and old and governed by rules that predate human civilization. If you're going to be part of Luna's life, part of our lives, you need to understand it. So teach me. His eyes flashed amber. It would be my honor. For the next hour, he talked about pack structure and hierarchy, about the full moon and the change that came with it, painful and ecstatic in equal measure, about territories and the delicate politics that kept the 4 packs from open war, about the old laws that governed their kind, about the humans who knew and helped, about the dangers that came from exposure. There are hunters, he said quietly, humans who know we exist and want us dead. They're rare, but they're organised, ruthless. 3 years ago, they attacked the Westbrook pack, killed 12 wolves, including their alpha's mate. That's horrible. It's reality. It's why I'm so protective of Luna, why I don't let her go to normal schools or participate in regular activities. She's my heir, my only child. If something happened to her... His voice broke. I wouldn't survive it. Mira reached for his hand without thinking. His fingers closed around hers immediately, gripped tight. She's lucky to have you, Mira said softly. You love her so fiercely. She knows she's safe with you. But she's not happy, not completely. She needs more than I can give. So you find people who can give what you can't, like you found me. Like I found you. He turned to look at her, and the moonlight turned his eyes silver. Except you're becoming something I didn't expect, something I need, not just for Luna, for me. Mira's breath caught. Dominic, I know this is fast. I know you barely know me, that you're still processing the impossible becoming real. But I need you to understand something. He shifted to face her fully, bringing her hand to his chest. Mira could feel his heart beating, strong and fast. My kind knows when we've found something rare, someone who matters, and you matter, Mira. Not just because Luna loves you, because I... He stopped himself, jaw clenching. Because you what? Mira whispered. Because I haven't felt this way since... He shook his head. No, that's not right. I've never felt this way. This certain. This pull to someone. Eleanor was comfort and compatibility. This is... He laughed, the sound half desperate. I don't have words for what this is. Mira should have been terrified, should have pulled away, made excuses, protected herself from the intensity of what he was saying. Instead, she found herself leaning closer. I feel it too, she admitted. Whatever this is, it scares me, but I feel it. Dominic's eyes blazed amber and stayed that way. Tell me I can kiss you. You can kiss me. He moved slowly despite the hunger in his eyes, giving her every chance to change her mind. When his lips finally met hers, the world narrowed to that point of contact. His mouth was warm, gentle at first, tasting and testing. Then Mira made a small sound, and his control frayed. The kiss deepened, his hand sliding into her hair, angling her head for better access. Mira's hands found his chest, feeling muscle and heat through the soft sweater. He kissed like he did everything else, with complete focus, as if nothing existed beyond this moment, this connection. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dominic rested his forehead against hers. That was... He didn't finish the sentence. Yeah, Mira agreed. I want to do it again, and again, and take you inside and... He stopped himself, pulling back slightly. But you should go, before I forget how to be a gentleman. What if I don't want you to be a gentleman? His laugh was strained. Don't tempt me, Mira. I'm barely holding on to control as it is, and there are things you don't understand yet. Things about bonds and mates and... He shook his head. I won't rush this. I won't rush you. Even if every instinct I have is screaming at me to claim you, keep you, never let you leave. The possessiveness in his voice should have alarmed her. Instead, it sent heat pooling in her belly. I should go, she agreed reluctantly, but you'll come back. Wild werewolves couldn't keep me away. His grin was all teeth. Good, because I think some of them might try. He walked her to the car, his hand at the small of her back the entire way. Before she climbed in, he pulled her close once more, kissing her with barely restrained hunger. Dream of me, he murmured against her lips. I don't think I have a choice. As Marcus drove away, Mira looked back to see Dominic standing in the moonlight, watching her leave. Around him shadows moved, those wolf shapes, his pack, his protection, and she realized with stunning clarity that she wasn't afraid of them anymore. She was beginning to understand that they were part of him, that accepting Dominic meant accepting all of this, the danger, the wildness, the impossible truth that magic was real and walked on 4 legs under the full moon. The question was, could she? Her lips still tingled from his kiss. Her skin still burned where he'd touched her. The answer, terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure, was yes. She could. She would. She was already falling. The dream started that night. Mira woke at 3 a.m. gasping, her skin slicked with sweat, the phantom sensation of teeth grazing her throat still vivid. Not painful, the opposite. In the dream, Dominic had pressed her against a wall of his estate, moonlight streaming through windows, his mouth hot on her neck. When his teeth had scraped her pulse point, she'd arched into him, wanting more. Then his eyes had flashed amber, and she'd felt something click into place, like a lock tumbling open, like recognition on a cellular level. Mine, he'd growled. Mine, mine, mine. And she'd answered. Yours. Mira pressed her hands to her face, trying to calm her racing heart. It was just a dream, just her subconscious processing everything that had happened. The kiss in the garden, his confession about mates and bonds, the way he'd looked at her like she was air and he'd been drowning. Just a dream. Except her neck tingled where dream teeth had touched, and she could still smell pine smoke. She didn't sleep again that night. Work was impossible the next day. Mira tried to focus on lesson plans and budget reports, but her mind kept drifting. To Dominic's hands in her hair, to Luna's bright smile, to the woods behind the estate and the wolves that ran there under moonlight. Okay, seriously, what is going on with you? Jenna cornered her in the break room at lunch. You've been weird for over a week now. You zone out mid-sentence, you smile at nothing, and don't think I didn't notice you touching your neck like 5 times this morning. Mira's hand dropped guiltily from her throat. I'm just distracted. By tall, dark, and brooding CEO? Because if Dominic Thorne is showing interest, girl, I don't blame you for being distracted. Jenna's eyes gleamed. Have you seen him again? Please tell me you've seen him again. I've been visiting Luna regularly, Mira hedged. And her father? Is usually there, yes. Mira. Jenna grabbed her shoulders. Stop being cagey. Are you dating him? I don't know. It came out as a question. It's complicated. Is he married? In a relationship? Secretly a serial killer? He's a werewolf hovered on Mira's tongue. She swallowed it. None of those things. He's just intense. His world is very different from mine. Rich people problems? Something like that. Mira managed a smile. But I like him, and Luna adores me, so I'm figuring it out. We'll figure it out fast, Jenna said, because men like that don't stay single long, and you deserve someone who looks at you like you hung the moon. Mira thought of the way Dominic's eyes tracked her across rooms, the way he touched her like she was precious and breakable, and necessary all at once. Maybe I already found him, she said quietly. Jenna squealed. The text came that afternoon. Luna wants to know if you're free this weekend. There's a pack gathering Saturday night. Just dinner and celebration. I'd like you there, if you're ready. D. Mira stared at the message. A pack gathering. Meeting more werewolves. Being introduced to his people as... What? Luna's teacher? His... Her phone buzzed again. You wouldn't be in danger. I give you my word. But they need to know you exist. That you're important to us. That you're under my protection. What does that mean, exactly? Under your protection? It means no wolf in this city would dare harm you. It means you're mine to guard. The possessiveness should have bothered her. Instead, warmth bloomed in her chest. Will it be formal? Semi-formal. It's a celebration of the spring equinox, the pack's renewal. Traditionally, we celebrate strength, unity, new bonds. New bonds. The phrase made her pulse quicken. I'll be there, she typed before she could second-guess herself. Thank you. Luna will be ecstatic. So will I. What should I expect? About 50 pack members. They'll be curious about you, the human who's caught the alpha's attention. Some will be wary. Most will be respectful because I've made it clear you're important. And a few will probably try to figure out if you're my mate. Mira's fingers froze over the keyboard. Are you? The response took longer this time. I don't know yet. The bond isn't something we choose, it chooses us. But what I feel for you, it's more than I've felt for anyone, ever. I need time to be certain, need you to be certain. This isn't a decision to make lightly. I understand. Do you? Because if you are my mate, Mira, everything changes. The bond is permanent, unbreakable. You'd be tied to me, to my pack, to this life, forever, forever. The word should have sent her running. I'm still here, she typed simply. Yes, you are. She could feel his smile through the text. Wear something you can move in. These gatherings sometimes involve dancing. Luna's been practicing. She wants to dance with you. The image of Luna twirling in a dress, her face bright with joy, made Mira's chest ache with affection. I'll be there. I promise. Saturday arrived with a mixture of anticipation and nerves that had Mira changing outfits 4 times. She finally settled on a deep emerald dress that fell to mid-thigh, with long sleeves and a neckline that was modest but flattering. She paired it with black tights and boots, feminine but practical, like Dominic had suggested. Her hair she left down in loose waves, and she kept her makeup simple. Gold earrings, a delicate necklace her mother had given her. When she checked her reflection, she saw someone who looked confident, put together, like she belonged in a world of supernatural politics and alpha werewolves. The illusion was perfect. Inside, she was terrified. Marcus arrived precisely at 6. He gave her an approving nod when she emerged. You look nice, Miss Ashford. The alpha will be pleased. Is it that obvious? That he cares for you? Marcus's smile was slight but genuine. To those of us who know him, yes. He's different around you. Lighter. We haven't seen him like this since. He trailed off. Since his wife died? Since ever, actually. Marcus opened the door for her. Elena was a good woman, but she wasn't his match. You are. The certainty in his voice made Mira's breath catch. The drive took them deep into Packlands, past the main house to a clearing she hadn't seen before. Lights had been strung between trees, creating a canopy of stars. A bonfire burned in the centre, surrounded by long tables laden with food. And everywhere, people. Beautiful people, she noticed immediately. The kind of beauty that was too perfect, too symmetrical. They moved with inhuman grace, spoke with voices that carried music, watched her arrival with eyes that glinted in the firelight. Predators, every one of them. The SUV stopped, and Mira's door opened. She stepped out on shaking legs. And Luna barreled into her, nearly knocking her over. You came. You're here. The girl's signing was frantic with joy. I told everyone you were coming, and they didn't believe me, but you're here. Mira caught her, laughing. Of course. I'm here. I promised, didn't I? Luna grabbed her hand and tugged her forward, chattering in sign about everything at once. The food, the music, the dancing that would start after dinner, the other children she wanted Mira to meet. Luna! Dominic's voice cut through the chaos. Let Mira breathe. He emerged from the crowd and Mira's mouth went dry. He wore black slacks and a charcoal shirt, with the sleeves rolled to his elbows, exposing forearms corded with muscle. His hair was slightly tousled, as if he'd been running his hands through it. And his eyes. God, his eyes were molten amber in the firelight, fixed on her with an intensity that made her forget how to breathe. Hi, she managed. Hi. He moved close, his hand finding the small of her back in a gesture that was becoming familiar. Possessive. You look stunning. You clean up pretty well yourself? His smile was slow, dangerous. Come, meet my pack. They're dying of curiosity. He kept her close as they moved through the gathering, his hand never leaving her back. People approached in ones and twos, introducing themselves with careful politeness. Names and faces blurred together. Marcus's mate, Sarah, the pack's healer, Thomas, the enforcers who'd been in the garden that first night, now in human form and far less intimidating. Each one assessed her with sharp eyes, curious but not hostile, waiting to see how their alpha would react to her, taking their cues from him, and Dominic made his position clear. He touched her constantly, her back, Her shoulder? Her hand? He kept her within arm's reach. When a young male wolf stared a bit too long, Dominic's eyes flashed and a low sound rumbled from his chest. The male looked away immediately. Was that a growl? Mira whispered. Yes. He didn't sound apologetic. Sorry. Instinct. Possessive instinct? Very. His hand tightened on her waist. Every unmated male here can smell you, can see how beautiful you are. My wolf wants to make it very clear that you're spoken for. Am I? His eyes burned into hers. Do you want to be? Before Mira could answer, Luna tugged on her dress. Come meet the other children, please. Dominic released her reluctantly. Go. I need to address the pack before dinner anyway, but stay where I can see you. Mira let Luna pull her toward a group of children clustered near one of the tables. They ranged from toddlers to teenagers, all of them watching her with open curiosity. Luna introduced her proudly, her signs animated. This is Mira. She's teaching me sign language, and she's really nice, and Daddy likes her a lot. The children giggled. One of the older girls, maybe 13, signed back, We know. He hasn't been able to stop staring at her since she arrived. Because she's special, Luna signed with absolute certainty. Special. Mira turned the word over in her mind as she chatted with the children. They were sweet, curious, asking questions about her work and her life with the open honesty of youth. Some of them signed along with Luna, their movements clumsy but genuine. Others spoke aloud but slowly, making sure Mira could interpret for Luna. They'd adapted to her. The whole pack had, she realised, because Luna was one of them, and they protected their own. A sharp whistle cut through the chatter. The crowd quieted, turning toward the bonfire where Dominic now stood on a raised platform. In the firelight, he looked every inch the alpha, powerful, commanding, dangerous. My pack, he said, his voice carrying without effort. We gather tonight to celebrate the spring equinox, to honour the renewal of life, the strength of our bonds, and the unity that keeps us safe in a changing world. Heads nodded, someone howled, and others joined in, a chorus of voices that made the hair on Mira's arms stand up. This year brings new challenges, Dominic continued. The humans encroach further into our territory. The other packs grow bold. We've had skirmishes at the borders, tests of our strength. But we've held firm because we stand together. More howls of agreement. And tonight, I introduce you to someone who's become important to my family. His eyes found Mira across the clearing. Mira Ashford has shown my daughter kindness when others offered only pity. She's entered our world with courage and an open heart. I've claimed her under my protection, and I expect every member of this pack to treat her with respect. The weight of dozens of eyes settled on Mira. She forced herself not to fidget. She's human, someone called out. A woman's voice, cool and assessing. Why bring her here? Why risk exposure? Because she's earned it, Dominic said flatly. And because I choose to. Are you questioning my judgment, Rachel? Silence. Then the woman, tall, blonde, beautiful in a sharp-edged way, stepped forward. No, Alpha, just seeking to understand. Then understand this. Mira is under my protection. That makes her untouchable. Spread the word to the other packs. Any wolf who harms her answers to me. The threat in his voice was unmistakable. Rachel inclined her head in submission. Dominic's expression softened as he looked back at Mira. Now let's eat, drink, and celebrate. We've earned this moment of peace. The tension broke. Music started, drums and guitars and voices rising in songs that sounded ancient. People moved toward the food, laughing and talking. Luna grabbed Mira's hand and pulled her toward the tables. The meal was a feast. Roasted meats and vegetables, bread and cheese, fruits and desserts that smelled divine. Mira found herself seated between Luna and Dominic at the head table, pack members flowing around them with easy familiarity. You're handling this well, Dominic murmured between conversations. Most humans would have run by now. Most humans probably should, Mira said, but I'm stubborn. Thank God for that. His hand found hers under the table, fingers lacing together. I know this is overwhelming. If it's too much, it's not. I promise. She squeezed his hand. It's actually nice. Seeing you here, with your people, understanding what you protect. What I protect now includes you. He brought her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles. The gesture was old-fashioned, courtly, and devastatingly intimate. Get used to it. After dinner, the music changed, something with a rhythm that made people stand, moving toward an open area that had been cleared for dancing. Couples paired off, and Mira realized this wasn't normal dancing. It was something else, ritualistic almost, with movements that were too synchronized to be casual. Pack dance, Dominic explained. We do it at every gathering. It reinforces bonds, demonstrates unity. Want to try? I don't know the steps. I'll teach you. He stood, offering his hand. Trust me. Mira let him pull her to her feet and lead her to the edge of the dancing area. Luna watched from her seat, bouncing with excitement. It's simple, Dominic said, positioning her. One hand at her waist, the other holding hers. Follow my lead. Let yourself feel the rhythm. The music swelled and they moved. Dominic wasn't lying. The steps were simple, but the way they flowed together wasn't. He guided her with subtle pressure, his body a solid presence against hers, and as they danced, Mira felt something shift. The world narrowed to him, his scent, his warmth, the way he watched her like she was the only person who existed. Around them, other couples danced, but Mira barely noticed. She was caught in Dominic's amber gaze, in the feeling of rightness that settled over her like a blanket. You're a natural, he said softly. You're a good teacher. Or maybe we're just good together. His hand tightened on her waist. Mira, I need to tell you something. About what I'm feeling, what my wolf is. A sharp howl cut him off. Not joyful this time. Urgent. Warning. Dominic's head snapped up, his entire body going rigid. Around them the dancing stopped. Pack members tensed, heads turning toward the forest. Another howl closer, and beneath it, the sound of snarling. Marcus, Dominic barked. Get Luna and Mira to the house, now. What's happening? Mira asked, but she already knew. She could feel it. Danger, approaching fast. The Westbrook pack. Dominic's voice was pure alpha now, command and fury mixed. They're on my land, attacking during a gathering. He looked at Mira, and for just a moment, fear flickered in his eyes. Not for himself, for her. Go with Marcus. Lock the doors. Don't come out until I send word. Dominic. He kissed her, hard and fast. Go. Please. I can't fight if I'm worried about you. Marcus was already there, one hand on Luna's shoulder, the other reaching for Mira. Luna looked terrified, her eyes huge. It's okay, Mira signed, even though her hands shook. Your father will be fine. We just need to be safe so he can focus. Luna nodded, tears streaming down her face. They ran. Behind them, the sounds of combat erupted, snarls and howls and something that might have been screaming. Mira didn't look back. She focused on keeping pace with Marcus, on keeping Luna close, on reaching the safety of the house. They burst through the door and Marcus locked it behind them, his face grim. Upstairs, Luna's room. It's the most secure. What about you? I'm going back. The Alpha needs every fighter. He looked at Mira, and something like respect flickered in his eyes. Keep her safe. He'll never forgive himself if anything happens to either of you. Then he was gone, and Mira was alone with Luna in a house that suddenly felt too big, too empty. She gathered the girl into her arms as Luna sobbed silently against her chest. Outside, the sounds of battle raged, and Mira could only hold tight to this child she'd grown to love and pray that Dominic would come back to them, that they hadn't just lost him to violence in a world she was only beginning to understand. The waiting was unbearable. Mira sat on Luna's bed with the girl curled against her side, both of them staring at the window where moonlight streamed through like an accusation. Outside, the sounds had changed, fewer snarls now, but occasional howls that made Luna flinch. Victory cries or mourning, Mira couldn't tell. Is Daddy okay? Luna's hands trembled as she signed. He's strong, Mira signed back, praying she was right. He'll come back to us. But she didn't know, couldn't know. For all her acceptance of this new world, She understood nothing about werewolf combat, about pack warfare, about what happened when alphas clashed. All she knew was that Dominic had walked into danger and she was helpless to do anything but wait. The minutes crawled past. 10, 20, 45. Luna had stopped crying, but remained pressed against Mira's side, her small body rigid with fear. Mira stroked her hair, murmuring wordless comfort, and tried not to imagine the worst. Tried not to think about Dominic's grey eyes going dark, his body broken, his last thought being of his daughter. The sound of footsteps on the stairs made them both freeze. Heavy footsteps. Multiple people. Luna's fingers dug into Mira's arm. The door swung open, and Mira's heart stopped. Dominic stood in the doorway. He was covered in blood. His shirt was shredded, exposing claw marks across his chest that were already healing, knitting together with supernatural speed. His hair was wild, his eyes still molten amber, and he moved with the barely contained violence of someone still riding the edge of combat. But he was alive. Daddy! Luna launched herself at him, and Dominic caught her, pulling her tight against his chest. His eyes closed, his face crumpling with relief as he buried his face in her hair. "I'm okay, baby," he murmured, even though she couldn't hear him. His hands moved in sign. "I'm okay. You're safe. Everyone's safe. You're hurt," Luna signed frantically, touching the healing wounds on his chest. "It's nothing. Already healing, I promise." Behind him, Marcus appeared, looking equally battle-worn but grinning. "We sent them running. The Westbrook Alpha lost 3 of his best fighters. He won't try that again anytime soon." "Casualties on our side?" Mira asked quietly. 2 injured, none dead." Marcus's expression sobered. "We were lucky. If the Alpha hadn't responded so fast..." He shook his head. "He fought like I've never seen him fight, like he had something to protect beyond just pack." His eyes flicked meaningfully to Mira. Dominic set Luna down gently, his hands moving in sign. "Go with Marcus. He'll take you to Sarah. She's making hot chocolate for all the children. I need to talk to Mira. But I'm fine, I promise. I just need a few minutes." Luna looked between them, then nodded reluctantly. She hugged Mira tight before following Marcus out, leaving Mira alone with Dominic in the moonlit room. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Dominic crossed the space between them in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms. "I thought..." His voice broke. "When they breached the perimeter, all I could think was that you were here, vulnerable, and if they got past us..." He shuddered, his grip tightening. "I've never been that afraid in my life." "You were afraid?" Mira pulled back enough to look at him. "You're the Alpha. You're supposed to be fearless." "Not when it comes to you." His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. "Not when it comes to Luna. You're my weaknesses, Mira. The things that could bring me to my knees. That's not weakness. That's love. It's both." His eyes searched hers, desperate and wild. "And it's dangerous. What I feel for you. It makes me reckless. I took risks tonight I shouldn't have taken. Fought harder than was smart, because all I could think was that I had to end it fast, had to get back to you. Dominic, you're my mate." The words burst from him like a confession. "I know you are. My wolf knows. Every instinct I have screams it. You're mine, and I'm yours, and this..." He pressed her hand to his chest, where his heart thundered. "This is what forever feels like." Mira's breath caught. "Are you sure?" "Completely. Terrifyingly. Irrevocably." His forehead touched hers. "I know it's fast. I know you barely know me, that this world is still new to you. But the bond doesn't care about timing. It just is. And I need you to know, need you to understand what this means before... Before what? Before I ask you to accept it." He pulled back, and the vulnerability in his eyes made her chest ache. "The mate bond requires acknowledgement from both sides. I can feel it, want it, but it won't fully form until you accept it too, until you choose me as I've chosen you. And if I do, what changes? Everything." His hands framed her face. "We'll be bonded, connected on a level deeper than marriage. I'll feel your emotions, sense when you're in danger. You'll feel mine. The pack will recognize you as their Luna, my mate, my equal. I'll be part of this world completely. No going back. And Luna? His smile was soft. She'll have the mother she's been missing, the connection she craves. You already love her. I see it in every interaction. The bond would just make it official. Mira's mind raced. This was insane. She'd known him for barely 2 weeks. She was human, he was a werewolf. There were 1,000 rational reasons to say no, to slow down, to think. But standing here in his arms, looking into eyes that had seen her truly from the first moment, feeling the rightness of his touch, rationality seemed less important than truth. And the truth was, she wanted this, wanted him, wanted the family and belonging and fierce love he offered. I have conditions, she said quietly. Hope flared in his eyes. Name them. I keep my work, my non-profit, my teaching. I won't give up who I am. I would never ask you to. Your strength is part of what I love about you. I want to learn about your world properly, the politics, the hierarchies, everything. If I'm going to be your mate, I need to understand what that means. I'll teach you everything. So will the pack. And Luna, we tell her together, about what I am to you, about what she'll become, no secrets. Agreed. His thumb brushed her lower lip. Anything else? Yeah. Mira took a breath. You have to promise you won't shut me out when things get dangerous. I can't be locked away like something fragile. If I'm part of this world, I'm part of it. All of it. Dominic's jaw tightened. That's the hardest one. My instinct is to protect you from everything. I know, but I need your trust as much as your protection. He stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. All right. I promise. Though I reserve the right to be extremely uncomfortable about it. Mira laughed, surprised the sound could emerge from her tight chest. Deal. So? His voice dropped to barely a whisper. Are you saying yes? Will you accept the bond? Accept me? I'm saying yes. The words felt momentous, like stepping off a cliff. I choose you, Dominic Thorne. I accept the mate bond. His eyes blazed pure amber. Say it again. I choose you. I accept. His mouth crashed against hers, swallowing the rest of the words. This kiss was nothing like the gentle exploration in the garden. This was claiming, possessive, and desperate, and hungry. His hands tangled in her hair, angling her head as he devoured her mouth. And Mira felt it, the moment the bond clicked into place. It was like a door opening in her chest. Suddenly she could feel him, his relief, his joy, his fierce possessive love wrapping around her like a second skin. Emotions that weren't hers but were, bleeding through the connection that now tied them together. Mine, his wolf seemed to purr through the bond. Ours. Finally. When they broke apart, both gasping, Dominic's eyes were still amber. You feel it? Yes. Mira pressed her hand to her chest, marvelling. I feel you, inside me. It's intense, overwhelming. Right. He kissed her again, gentler this time. This is what I meant about forever. We're bound now, Mira. Soul to soul, nothing can break this. Nothing? Nothing. His smile was fierce. You're stuck with me. With us. Hope you're ready for that. Mira thought of Luna's bright smile, of the pack gathering and the way they'd welcomed her, of this man who'd looked at her like she hung the moon and stars. I'm ready, she said, and meant it. They found Luna in the kitchen with Sarah and a group of other children, all of them drinking hot chocolate and eating cookies. The atmosphere was lighter now, the fear from earlier dissipating into relief. When Luna saw them enter, her face lit up. Then her gaze sharpened, flicking between Mira and her father with a perception that seemed beyond her years. Something happened, she signed slowly. You're different, both of you. Dominic crouched down to her level. Something wonderful happened. But we need to talk about it, all three of us. Tomorrow, when things are calmer. Is that okay? Luna looked at Mira, studying her face. Then back to her father. Mira's staying? Really staying? Really staying, Dominic confirmed. Luna threw her arms around Mira's waist, squeezing tight. When she pulled back, tears streaked her face, but she was smiling. I knew you were supposed to be ours. I knew it from the first time you sat with me. How did you know? Mira asked, signing as she spoke. Because you didn't look at me like I was broken. You looked at me like I was whole. Luna's hands moved with a simple conviction. That's how family looks at each other. Mira's eyes burned. She pulled Luna close, meeting Dominic's gaze over her head. He looked undone, his expression raw with emotion. We should head back to the main house, Marcus said quietly from the doorway. The pack will want to see that alpha. Make sure he's all right. Dominic nodded, straightening, but his hand found Mira's, fingers lacing together. Come with me. I want them to see us together, to understand what you are to me now. Won't that cause problems, a human mate? Let them try. His voice was pure alpha. You're mine. That makes you untouchable. They walked back to the gathering together, Dominic, Mira, and Luna between them. The bonfire still burned, and pack members milled around, tending wounds and sharing stories of the battle. When they saw Dominic, a cheer went up. The Alpha returns, someone shouted. Did you see him take down Marcus Westbrook? 3 moves and the bastard was on his back. The Westbrook pack won't forget this night. Dominic raised a hand, and silence fell. Tonight we defended our territory, protected our families. This is what we do, what we've always done, and will continue to do it, no matter who challenges us. More cheers. Then Rachel, the woman from earlier, stepped forward. Her eyes went to Mira, assessing. You've bonded with her, she said. Not a question. Yes. Dominic's arm wrapped around Mira's shoulders. Mira is my mate, you're Luna. I expect the same loyalty and respect you've always shown me to extend to her. Silence. Mira felt dozens of eyes on her, some curious, some skeptical, a few openly hostile. Then Rachel did something unexpected. She knelt. My Luna, you honour us with your acceptance of the Alpha. Around her, others began to kneel. Not all. Some remained standing, their expressions uncertain, but enough that Mira understood. They were accepting her, acknowledging her place. Thank you, she managed, her voice rough. I know I have a lot to learn, but I promise to do my best. For Dominic, for Luna, for all of you. Rachel rose, a small smile on her lips. That's all we can ask. Welcome to the Thorn Pack, Luna Mira. Luna Mira. The title settled over her shoulders like a mantle. The party continued, but the atmosphere had shifted. Pack members approached Mira now with cautious friendliness, introducing themselves properly, asking questions about her work. She felt Dominic's pride through the bond, his satisfaction at seeing his pack accept his choice. And underneath it all, his love, constant and fierce and overwhelming. You're doing wonderfully, he said through the bond. An ability she was still getting used to. They already respect you, or they're scared of you, she sent back. That too. His amusement was warm in her mind. But respect born of fear is still respect, will earn their genuine loyalty over time. We, she echoed. I like the sound of that. Good. Because it's us now. Always us. Hours later, when the gathering finally wound down and pack members began returning to their homes, Dominic led Mira and Luna back to the main house. Luna was asleep on her feet, swaying as she walked. Come on, little wolf, Dominic murmured, scooping her up. She didn't wake, just curled against his chest with the boneless trust of a child who knew she was safe. Inside, he carried her upstairs, while Mira followed. In Luna's room, he tucked her in with gentle hands, kissing her forehead. Love you, baby, he signed, even though she was asleep and couldn't see. In the hallway, Mira touched his arm. She adores you. You know that, right? I hope so. I'm all she has. Not anymore. Mira smiled. Now she has me too. Dominic pulled her close, kissing her forehead, her cheeks, finally her mouth. Stay tonight, please. I don't want you to leave. Don't want to be apart from you. Dominic, I'm not asking for anything except your presence. He looked suddenly vulnerable. I nearly lost you tonight. Before I even had you. Let me keep you close. Just for tonight. How could she say no to that? Okay, she whispered. I'll stay. Relief flooded through the bond. He led her to his room at the end of the hall, a space she'd never seen before. It was surprisingly simple, a large bed with dark sheets, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the forest, minimal furniture, but it smelled like him, pine and smoke and safety. I'll get you something to sleep in, he said, moving to address her. He pulled out one of his shirts, soft grey cotton that would fall to her thighs. Bathroom's through there if you want to wash up. When Mira emerged 10 minutes later, scrubbed clean and wearing his shirt, she found him standing by the windows, staring out at the moonlit forest. He'd changed into sleep pants, his chest bare and marked with the mostly healed wounds from the fight. Does it hurt? She asked. Barely. We heal fast. He turned, and the look in his eyes made her breath catch. God, you're beautiful. Wearing my clothes, in my space, mine. He cut himself off, jaw clenching. Sorry, the bond is making my wolf very vocal. What's it saying? Things I shouldn't say out loud yet. He moved to the bed, pulling back the covers. Come here, please. I need to hold you. Mira climbed in, and immediately Dominic pulled her against his chest, wrapping around her like a shield. His warmth seeped into her bones, and she felt his heartbeat against her back, steady and strong. This okay? He murmured against her hair. It's perfect. They lay in silence for a while, Mira tracing patterns on his arm, Dominic's breath warm on her neck. Through the bond, she felt his contentment, his wonder, his lingering fear from earlier slowly fading. Tell me about Eleanor, she said quietly. If you want to. He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, she was kind, gentle. She loved Luna so much, but she was miserable here. The pack life, the constant vigilance, the violence that sometimes comes with territory. It wore on her. She wanted normal, human normal, and I couldn't give her that. Did you love her? I cared for her, but it wasn't this. His arm tightened around Mira. It wasn't the bone-deep certainty that I'd found my other half. With Eleanor, I kept waiting to feel what the mated pairs in my pack felt. That connection. It never came. Do you think she knew? I think she hoped it would develop, that maybe the bond would form over time. When it didn't, he sighed. She stayed for Luna, but she was unhappy. And that night, when she took the car, I've spent years wondering if she meant to come back. I'm sorry, Mira whispered. Don't be. I've made peace with it. And Luna, she's the best thing that came from that relationship. I'd do it all again for her. He kissed Mira's shoulder. But this, us, this is what I was meant to have, what I'd given up hoping for. I feel the same way. Mira turned in his arms to face him. I didn't know I was missing something until I found it. Found you. Found Luna. Dominic's eyes glowed faintly in the darkness. I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret this choice. I won't. I already know I won't. Promise me something. Anything. If it gets to be too much, the pack politics, the danger, the strangeness of this world, tell me. Don't suffer in silence. We'll figure it out together. I promise. She kissed him softly. Now stop worrying and sleep. Your mate commands it. His laugh rumbled through his chest. Your mate commands it? Someone's getting confident with her new title. Maybe I like having authority. Oh, I'm in trouble. But he was smiling as he tucked her head under his chin, his arm secure around her. Sleep, Mira. I'll keep watch. You need sleep too. I will. Eventually. Right now I just want to hold you and know you're safe. Through the bond, Mira felt his protectiveness wrap around her like a blanket. She let herself sink into it, into him, into the certainty that she was exactly where she belonged. Outside, the moon hung full and bright over the forest, and in the distance, wolves howled, not in warning this time, but in celebration. The alpha had found his mate. The pack was complete. Morning came soft and golden through the windows. Mira woke slowly, wrapped in warmth and the scent of pine smoke. For a moment she couldn't remember where she was. Then awareness returned. Dominic's bed, his arms around her, his breath steady against her hair. The bond hummed between them, content and settled. She could feel him even in sleep, his dreams flickering at the edges of her consciousness, his wolf peaceful for once. She turned carefully, not wanting to wake him, and studied his face. In sleep, he looked younger. The hard lines softened, the constant vigilance gone. His dark hair fell across his forehead, and his lips were slightly parted. One arm was flung over her waist, holding her close, even unconscious. This man was hers, her mate, forever. The enormity of it should have terrified her. Instead, she felt only certainty. His eyes opened, immediately finding hers. For a heartbeat, they just stared at each other. Then his hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. "Morning," he rumbled, his voice rough with sleep. "Morning," she smiled. "Sleep well?" "Better than I have in years. Decades, maybe." His eyes searched hers. "You're still here. Part of me thought I'd dreamed last night. I'm here. I'm real. And I'm yours." Something fierce and possessive flared in his gaze. He leaned in, kissing her slowly, thoroughly, until Mira's toes curled and heat pooled low in her belly. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Dominic pressed his forehead to hers. "We should get up. Luna will be awake soon, and we promised to talk to her. About me being your mate, about everything. What she is, what she'll become, what we are together." He kissed her once more, quick and sweet. "But first, coffee. I don't function without coffee." They dressed, Mira borrowing a pair of his sweatpants that she had to roll several times, and headed downstairs. The house was quiet, peaceful in the morning light. In the kitchen, Dominic moved with easy efficiency, brewing coffee and pulling out ingredients for breakfast. "You cook?" Mira asked, surprised. "Out of necessity. Luna needs to eat, and I'm not going to feed my daughter frozen dinners." He shot her a look. "Besides, cooking is calming. Gives me something to focus on besides pack politics and border disputes." "What can I do?" "Sit. Talk to me. Let me take care of you." So Mira sat at the kitchen island and watched him work, the domestic intimacy of the moment making her chest warm. They talked about small things, her work schedule, his meetings for the week, whether Luna would be ready for the astronomy club or if they needed to wait. Normal conversation. As if he wasn't a werewolf alpha and she wasn't his newly bonded human mate. "I keep expecting to wake up," Mira admitted, "for this to be too good to be real." "It's real." Dominic slid a plate in front of her. Eggs, bacon, toast, perfectly cooked. "And it's good because we'll make it good, together." "Mira." They both turned to find Luna in the doorway, still in her pajamas, her hair a wild tangle. Her face was bright with joy as she signed frantically. "You stayed. You're still here. I thought maybe I dreamed it, but you're really here." "I'm really here," Mira signed back, laughing as Luna launched herself into her arms. "And I'm not going anywhere." Luna pulled back, her expression suddenly serious. "Promise? You promise you're staying?" Mira looked at Dominic, who nodded slightly. "I promise, Luna. Your father and we're together now, which means I'm part of your family. Permanently." "Like a mum?" The question hung in the air, fragile and hopeful. "If you want me to be," Mira said gently. "I know I can't replace your mother." "I don't remember her," Luna signed matter-of-factly. "Daddy has pictures and stories, but I don't remember. So you wouldn't be replacing anything. You'd just be Mom." Mira's eyes burned. She looked at Dominic, who was very carefully not looking at them, his jaw tight with emotion. "Then yes," she said. "I'd be honoured to be your mum." Luna's smile could have lit the city. She threw her arms around Mira again, and this time Dominic joined them, wrapping both his girls in his arms. "My family," Luna signed when they finally pulled apart. "Complete." "Almost," Dominic signed back. But we need to talk about something important, something about you, about us, about what makes our family special. Luna's expression turned curious. About the wolves. Both adults froze. You know? Dominic's hands moved slowly, carefully. I'm not stupid, Daddy. I've seen things, heard things. Well, felt the vibrations when you and Marcus talk about pack business. And I've watched you look at the full moon like it's calling you. She tilted her head. Are we werewolves? Is that why people at school used to look at me weird before you pulled me out? Dominic sat down heavily, pulling Luna onto his lap. Yes, we're werewolves. I am. You will be when you're older. It's our heritage, our nature. I was waiting to tell you until you were ready, but I've been ready, Luna signed firmly. I just wanted you to trust me enough to tell me. He laughed, the sound half broken. You're 8 years old and already making me feel like an idiot. So, what happens to me when I get older? You'll shift for the first time during puberty, Mira said, jumping in. Your father will teach you everything you need to know. And the pack, all those people you met last night, they'll help too. Will it hurt? The first few times, Dominic admitted, but then it becomes natural, freeing even. You'll be able to run faster, sense more, connect with the pack in ways you can't now. Will I still be deaf? The question was so small, so vulnerable. Yes, Dominic said gently. The shift doesn't change that, but you'll have other senses. Smell, vibration, instinct. You'll learn to navigate the world as a wolf in your own way, and I'll be there every step of the journey. And Mira? And Mira, he confirmed. She's my mate now. That's a special bond between two people who are meant to be together. It means she's part of our pack, our family. She'll help teach you, protect you, love you. But she's human? Yes. Which makes her even more special. Dominic's hand found Mira's. Not all mates are the same species. The bond doesn't care about that. It only cares about souls that fit together. Luna studied them both, her young face serious. Then she signed. Good. I like Mira being my mum, and I'm glad I'm a werewolf. It makes sense why I always felt different. You're not just a werewolf, Dominic signed. You're my heir. Someday, when I'm gone, you'll lead this pack. You'll be the alpha. That's a huge responsibility, but I know you'll be ready for it. Will you teach me? Every day. Starting now if you want. Luna nodded eagerly. What do I need to learn first? How about we start with breakfast? Mira suggested, signing with a smile. Alpha training is probably more effective on a full stomach. Luna giggled, a sound Mira had rarely heard from her, pure and joyful. And as they settled around the kitchen table, the three of them together, Mira felt the rightness of it settle into her bones. This was her family, her pack, her future, and she'd never been more certain of anything in her life. The weeks that followed fell into a rhythm that felt both surreal and perfectly natural. Mira moved into the estate gradually, bringing her belongings box by box. Her apartment lease was up in 2 months anyway, and there seemed little point in renewing it when she spent every free moment at Dominic's home. Marcus helped with the heavy lifting, and Luna supervised, directing where everything should go with the authority of a general commanding troops. Your books go in the library, she decided, next to Daddy's. That way, when people see them together, they'll know you belong. The pack accepted her with varying degrees of enthusiasm. Some, like Marcus and Sarah, welcomed her warmly. Others remained wary, watching to see if the human mate would prove a weakness or a strength. Rachel, surprisingly, became an ally, teaching Mira about packs, politics, and hierarchy, explaining the unspoken rules that governed their world. You're doing well, Rachel said one afternoon as they walked the estate grounds. The pack respects strength, and you've shown them you have it. Standing by the alpha during that challenge last month, learning our ways without complaint, it matters. Challenge? Mira asked. Dominic didn't tell me about a challenge. Rachel's smile was knowing. Because it was minor. A young wolf from the East Side pack got bold, thought he could take territory while our alpha was distracted by his new mate. Dominic put him down in under 3 minutes, The wolf slunk back to his pack with his tail between his legs. Mira made a mental note to have words with her mate about keeping her informed. "I promised not to shut you out," she sent through the bond. His response came immediately, tinged with chagrin. It was handled before it became a real problem. "I didn't want to worry you, Dominic. I know. I'm sorry. I'll do better." And he did. He started including her in pack meetings, teaching her the names and positions of key members, explaining the delicate balance that kept 4 packs coexisting in one city. She learned about territory markers and full moon runs, about the ancient laws that governed their kind and the human organizations that hunted them. It was overwhelming and fascinating in equal measure. Her non-profit thrived with Dominic's backing. The funding he'd provided allowed them to expand programs, hire more teachers, reach more families. Jenna had nearly fainted when she'd learned where the money came from. "You're dating Dominic Thorne and he's funding us? Mira, you're living in a romance novel." "It's a bit more complicated than that," Mira had said, but she'd smiled. Luna blossomed. With Mira in her life permanently, the girl's confidence grew. She asked questions about everything, soaked up knowledge like a sponge, and began tentatively making friends with the other pack children. The isolation that had defined her early years was slowly lifting. "She's happy," Dominic said one night, as they lay in bed, his hand tracing patterns on Mira's bare shoulder. "Really, genuinely happy. I'd forgotten what that looked like on her. She has family now, a complete family. Of course she's happy. We all are." He kissed her temple. "Thank you, for choosing us, for staying. There's nowhere else I'd rather be." And she meant it. The full moon came. Mira had been told what to expect, but nothing quite prepared her for the reality. The pack gathered in the clearing behind the estate as darkness fell, and the air thrummed with anticipation. Even Luna, who couldn't shift yet, was present, watching from the safety of the house's observation deck with Sarah and the other children too young to run. "Stay here," Dominic said, his eyes already beginning to glow. "Watch if you want, but don't come down until morning. The wolves will be different, less human. I don't want you frightened." "I won't be. You say that now." He kissed her, deep and thorough. "I love you. Don't forget that when you see what I become." Then he walked to the center of the clearing and the change began. Mira had expected it to be violent, painful, and perhaps it was. She saw the way muscles rippled and reformed, heard the crack of bone and reshaping. But there was also something beautiful about it, something primal and right. The wolf that stood where Dominic had been was massive, easily 4 feet at the shoulder, with dark fur that gleamed in the moonlight. Grey eyes looked back at her, intelligent and wild, and she felt him through the bond. "Still me," he seemed to say. "Always me." Around him, the rest of the pack shifted, until dozens of wolves filled the clearing. Then, as one, they tilted their heads back and howled. The sound raised every hair on Mira's body. Beautiful and terrible and ancient, it spoke of things older than cities, older than civilization. It spoke of pack and hunt and moon and blood. And Mira wasn't afraid. She was awed. The wolves ran, disappearing into the forest in a stream of fur and fang. Luna pressed close to Mira's side, her eyes wide. "They're beautiful," she signed. "Yes." "They are? That will be me someday." "Yes." "Are you scared?" Luna's hands moved hesitantly. "Of what we are?" Mira pulled her close. "No, sweetheart. I'm not scared. I'm honored. You've let me into your world, your pack, your family. That's a gift." Luna relaxed against her. "I'm glad Daddy found you. So am I." They watched the forest for hours, catching glimpses of fur and eyes in the moonlight. And when dawn finally came, the wolves returned, shifting back to human form in the clearing, naked and laughing, exhausted and exhilarated. Dominic found her immediately, wrapping a blanket around himself before pulling her into his arms. "You stayed," he said against her hair. "Where else would I go? Some mates can't handle the first moon. Seeing their partner become something else, something wild, it breaks them. I'm not some mates." Mira pulled back to look at him. I'm yours, and nothing about you, human or wolf, could break me. His kiss tasted like wilderness and belonging. Come on, he murmured. Let's go home. Luna will be waiting to hear about the run, and I'm exhausted. Home. The word settled warm in Mira's chest. They walked back to the house together, Dominic's arm around her shoulders, and Mira thought about how much her life had changed in just a few months, how she'd gone from lonely and searching to found and whole. All because she'd noticed one little girl sitting alone at a gala and decided to care. 6 months later, on a crisp autumn evening, the pack gathered again. But this time, it was for a celebration. Mira stood in the clearing behind the estate, wearing a dress of deep midnight blue that Luna had helped pick out. Around her, the pack assembled in a circle, torches burning against the darkness. And at the centre, Dominic waited. He wore all black, his eyes bright with emotion as he watched her approach. Luna walked beside Mira, serving as her escort, her face solemn with the importance of her role. This was the formal bonding ceremony, the public acknowledgement of their mate bond before the pack and the moon. They'd been bonded for months already, but tradition required this ritual, this declaration. Dominic took her hands when she reached him, his touch warm and steady. Mira Ashford, he said, his voice carrying across the clearing. You came into my life when I'd stopped hoping for miracles. You saw my daughter when others looked away. You accepted me, wolf and man, without flinching. You've learned our ways, earned our respect, and become essential to my pack. To me. He squeezed her hands. I claim you as my mate before the moon and the pack. I promise to protect you, honour you, love you for all the days I have. You are my heart, my home, my everything. Do you accept this claim? Mira's eyes burned, but her voice was steady. I do. I claim you as my mate, Dominic Thorne. I promise to stand beside you, love your daughter as my own, and honour the pack you lead. You are my heart, my home, my everything, and I accept your claim with joy. The pack howled, a sound of celebration that echoed through the night. Dominic pulled her close, kissing her as the pack surged forward, surrounding them with warmth and acceptance. Luna wrapped around both their legs, and Sarah pressed a crown of autumn leaves onto Mira's head. You're Luna, Marcus called out, mate to the Alpha, mother to his heir. Welcome, truly, to the Thorn Pack. More howls, more joy. And through it all, Dominic held her close, his love flooding through the bond, until Mira thought she might burst with happiness. Later, when the celebration had quieted and guests had departed, the three of them sat together on the observation deck. Luna had fallen asleep between them, her head on Mira's lap, and overhead the stars wheeled in their ancient patterns. Happy? Dominic asked softly. Deliriously. Mira looked down at Luna's peaceful face, then up at her mate. I have everything I never knew I needed. So do I. He reached across their sleeping daughter to take Mira's hand. Thank you for seeing us, for staying, for becoming the heart of our pack. Thank you for letting me in. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the moon rise over the forest, and Mira thought about the girl she'd been 6 months ago, lonely, searching, wondering if she'd ever find where she belonged. She'd found it in the most unexpected place, in a little girl's bright smile and an alpha's fierce love, in a world of moonlight and magic she'd never imagined existed. She'd found home, and she'd never let it go.